Welcome to Stories Found. Each week we feature funny, weird, and mostly true stories from writers, artists, and storytellers around the world. I'm your host, Ava Love Hanna, a writer and humorist from Austin, Texas. Joining me is my writing partner, audio engineer, and all-around cool guy, Paul Hanna. You're listening to Stories Found. Our featured organization this week is the Post Meridian Radio Players. They're a Boston area group of creatives dedicated to exploring audio theater as a unique art form. They offer live performances and studio productions of both classic tales from the golden age of radio and original works, with a special emphasis on science fiction, fantasy, and horror. Visit their website at pmrp.org to find out more about them and how you can help support their mission. We'll have a link to them on our website, storiesfound.com. Thanks for joining us for a very special Christmas edition of Stories Found. This week we're talking to one of our newly discovered favorite playwrights, Brian Rust. Brian is a Boston-based actor and writer who makes chocolates and searches for cryptids in his spare time. High points of his career include being killed by a pillow during the Robin Hood Faire, appearing on stage with Tigre as a member of the Art School Cheerleaders, and using a plunger and 10 pounds of jello to create an unforgettable foley effect for a live radio version of Chicken Heart. Most recently, he wrote and directed Plan 8 from the Outer Ether, a steampunk prequel to the infamous Ed Wood film, and directed and produced Strange Tales of Davis Square, an interactive audio tour that took participants on a hunt around a local neighborhood to discover MP3s of stories set in the exact spot they were standing. Brian is charming, funny, and loves cryptids almost as much as we do, so I'm super excited to introduce you to him today. Hi, Brian. Welcome to Stories Found. I'm excited to be chatting with you today about your super funny holiday play, Under a Christmas Moon.
Thank you very much. I'm a big fan, so it's a thrill to be here.
Yay! Well, your script was sent to us as part of our special holiday call for submissions, and let me tell you, we received so many Christmas shows. At last count, it was around 100 or so. So it was really hard to choose just one, but we adore this script. And we're clearly fans of dark humor around here. Your script is dark and silly, and it's really funny, but it's ultimately quite sweet, too. So thanks for sending it over to us.
Oh, my pleasure. I'm so happy that you liked it.
Well, without giving too much away, tell everyone a little bit about the play and what they're going to hear today.
All right. A lot of my work involves mashups, like mashups between two different movies or a movie and an opera. So I wanted to do something like that. And I'd just gotten back from Scotland and I was watching An American Werewolf in London and it was Christmas time. So things happened.
Perfect. I'd say for me, writing holiday scripts is really hard. You're walking into something where there are some very specific things that people associate with certain holidays. And therefore you're dealing with a million overused tropes and you're trying to create something that is both new and unique, but also pulls in some of that familiar. And I think you did a great job with that script. So I was going to say, well, where did this idea come from? And you're saying it was the movie or where else? What else did you pull from for a Christmas script?
Well, it's interesting. A friend of mine in England put out a call looking for a 2-person script set somewhere in the holidays. And it was for an event where the people in the audience would get up and read the scripts. They'd unwrap the scripts, so they'd have no idea what would be going on until they started reading.
Oh, I love that. What a great concept.
And that inspired me so much. The thought that every page I could put in a new surprise that would just flabbergast them for a second really helped.
Well, that is fantastic. I think you did a great job if that was your motivation. Oh, it's so good. So I mentioned we received a ton of Christmas submissions, which, I expected. Christmas is a big holiday. But what I didn't expect was the number of plays in which there were some sort of really horrible acts of violence against Santa. It seems like there's a lot of pent-up rage against Santa Claus in the writing community, which is just both disturbing and funny. But your take, Santa is this almost like a cryptid-like creature. it gives us some of that darkness without going too far. And so were you inspired by Krampus or some of the earlier, darker versions of Santa?
I was. Krampus was definitely a big influence.
Mm-hmm.
And also some of the European parades where Santa's going around with a bunch of elves who all have little switches and they're attacking children in the audience.
Yeah. I immediately envisioned those things when I was reading. I was like, yeah, this is the darker Santa. So I've said it already, but the script is really funny. Do you primarily write comedies?
I find it hard to not put comedy in. It's more a struggle to dial myself back.
Right. Oh, good. I'm glad to hear that.
I mean, it does make it when I go for a mystery or when I go for something scary, there's still the comedy there just because that's my default setting from so many years working with sketch comedy groups.
Oh, wow. Yeah. See, as somebody who writes comedy, I love hearing that because if I have to write something dramatic, it really is hard. Comedy is going to show up in it because that's a coping mechanism. So I love hearing that. So you did write sketch comedy for years.
I did, yeah. I should give my shout. Improv Boston had a very huge sketch program. It still has a small one, but COVID caused a lot of damage to the theater community.
Well, it looks like you do some historical writing for an audio project there. So tell us a little bit about that.
Oh, I should say that it's historical only in the sense for most of the stories that there are things that theoretically could have happened. The idea for the audio tours that I write is that you go to a site and you hear a story that makes you look at the place where you're standing in a completely different light. And sometimes that's talking about the site the way it looked like 50,000 and then 100,000 years ago when it was on the equator and there were dragonflies that were 4 feet long flying around.
Oh, that is fascinating. So so people taking tours and being able to see, through audio, how the area they are now has changed. Oh, exactly. I love it. Wonderful. Well, I will say, as a playwright myself, I know writing for the stage versus audio is a totally different process. And often the two types of scripts aren't compatible. This one, however, I think it works great for both venues. You did an excellent job of creating visuals for us with just words. And I think that really speaks to your experience with audio drama. So do you have a preference now? Do you prefer to write for the stage or for audio performance?
Oh, that's a good question. They both, I think in terms of what I can get away with, I love audio dramas and the way you can have an opera singing monkey flying an airplane.
Right.
It's really hard to pull off otherwise.
Exactly. I've been finding that lately. I'm like, oh, we wouldn't have I start thinking in terms of budget or space or, reality. But in audio dramas, so much is possible. So, oh, wonderful. I love hearing that. Okay, final question, and it's perhaps the most important one. Brian, Santa is standing in front of you and asking you about the script. Does he deem you naughty or nice?
Oh, good question. I think it depends on how much of a soft heart Santa has because I think overall he'd like it. He might have trouble with his portrayal, but overall
he'd think that you were nice. I'm pretty sure you're on the good list. Well, this has been super fun, Brian. Thank you so much for chatting with us today.
Oh, it's been a pleasure. I hope you have a great day.
You too. Stories Found is now proud to present Under a Christmas Moon by Brian Rust.
Merry Christmas, jingle bells. For the holiday season is upon us. Born well.
Yay, you made it! Was traffic bad?
Better than expected, actually. Am I very late?
No, it's our third date, not a military operation. The lasagna's still in the oven.
Oh, good. See, the reason I'm late is that I stopped on the way and got you this present.
Ah! Get it out of here! What is that thing?
What? What is it? Oh, God, it's consumerism, isn't it? You're right. We're being too material. Here, I'll just log on to a charity and, I don't know, sponsor a zoo animal in your name? Something like that?
No, it was the shock, is all. I hadn't realized how close to that day we were.
I'm very confused. It's one thing to not celebrate it, but how can anyone not in a coma not know it's the night before Christmas?
I work from home. I keep the shades down. When carolers come by, I play the Smiths really loudly until they go away. Sounds crazy, I know, but it all works.
You're right. It all sounds totally rational. What do you do when the ghost of Christmas past appears at the foot of your bed?
Stop it. It's nothing like that. It's... Scout, I have a terrible secret, and if we're going to keep dating, it's something you need to know. A few months ago, I was on a moonlit hike on the Scottish moors. You know, like you do. I crested a small hill, and there, before me, I saw the strangest thing. It looked like an old-fashioned sleigh tipped over on its side, claw marks all across the wood. I moved closer, curious, and realized the driver was still in there, laying there, limp. No way for me to tell if he was alive or dead.
You called the police, of course.
Well, no, it was Scotland. I just assumed it was another immersive theater piece. I'd spotted 2 already that day.
They really do love their experimental theater.
So I got closer to try to figure out what was going on, close enough to see the driver's white beard all askew and the fuzzy red coat all covered in mud. And then his eyes snapped open and he lunged forward and bit me on my arm. Hard.
That's horrible. What happened next?
I ran for what felt like hours, thinking I was hearing these big booted feet right behind me. I got hopelessly lost. Finally, I half tumbled down a hill in the middle of nowhere and found myself in a Kentucky Fried Chicken parking lot. I went inside and was able to call for help.
Well, thank God it wasn't worse. Did they ever find him?
Not that I've ever heard, but I don't think they looked very hard. When I told them my story, they were sympathetic at first, but then they wanted to see the bite wound, and when I went to show them, it looked like this.
Your arm? It's a tattoo of a Christmas wreath?
Right? No blood, no bruise, just that. They brought me some tea and stayed with me while I called an Uber, but I could tell they thought I was crazy. Heck, you think I'm crazy.
No. What? Me? No.
Well, I don't blame you. I might be. Ever since then, I've had these episodes during the nights of the full moon. 1 minute, I'll be settling in on the couch with a good book, and the next, I'll wake up 8 hours later on the floor with cookie crumbs all over me, clutching woodworking tools in my blistered hands, surrounded by toys I somehow made during my blackout. Hundreds of toys!
Toys? Oh. Oh.
What?
During our last date, you mentioned you had a lot of toys in your bedroom, and I thought, never mind. That's not important right now. What can I do to help?
I think it'll be all right. We'll just have a quiet dinner, not mention what day it is, and then as long as it's not a full moon tonight.
Which it is.
I'll be fine. Wait, what?
Tonight, the full moon, big, round, hits your eye like a big pizza pie tonight.
No. No. This can't happen. You can't. Ah! Ah!
Okay, now you're really freaking me out.
Get away! You can't be here. You have to. Oh!
My God! Kel, your hair's turning white. Why is your hair turning white?
I can feel it all over my skin like pine needles. Oh no! No! Oh!
This has gone too far. Stop hoeing. Stop growing that big white beard. Stop gaining weight and height and everything.
Ho, ho, ho! Who's been a naughty little scamp this year?
Get away!
Nice little children get treats. Bad little children get a beating.
What happened to a lump of coal?
Environmentalism. Ho, ho, ho.
Wait! If you are Santa Claus, then you need to hear what I want for Christmas. Then you can decide if I'm naughty or nice.
Talk fast. Ho, ho, ho. The reindeer are hungry.
More than anything, my wish for Christmas is to have my Kel back, safe and normal, to have a simple date like we planned.
Ho, ho, ho. You're sure you wouldn't rather have the new iPhone?
No, I'm sure. I want Kel back.
Well, poop. Ho, ho, ho. Merry Christmas.
Kel? How do you feel?
I don't hear jingling sleigh bells anymore. I don't feel jolly. Scout, you cured me.
It's a miracle. Not a holiday miracle, let's be very clear about that, but still a miracle. And the best thing is, this means you'll totally understand when you see what happens to me on Easter.
Excuse me?
You've just heard Under a Christmas Moon by Brian Rust. It was performed for you today by Cato Clare as Kel, Joe Lorenz as Scout, and Paul Hanna as Santa. This episode was edited and mixed for you by Paul Hanna and ELA Studios. If you'd like to read more of Brian's work, you can find him on NPX, the New Play Exchange. We'll have a post on our website with more information about Brian, as well as bios and links to our very talented actors. You can find all of that on our website, storiesfound.com. Our sponsor this week is us. We've hijacked this spot because we're excited to tell you about our new newsletter. Subscribe to be the first to know about new episodes, calls for submissions, auditions, shows, and more. Join us at storiesfound.substack.com. We'll have the sign-up link right on the homepage of our website, storiesfound.com. Thanks for listening to Stories Found. We've been your hosts, Ava Love Hanna and Paul Hanna. Get more info about this week's episode, subscribe to our newsletter, or submit your own story and be a featured storyteller in a future episode. You can do all that and more on our website, storiesfound.com. Stories Found was recorded at ELA Studios deep in the heart of Austin, Texas.